Well, this was an interesting one. I spent some time trying to come up with a comparative representation of what I felt with these Arcsabers here, and I would certainly say the feel and up to an extent the performance of all three rackets in this series are within the same ballpark. So previously, for the Astrox models, I would say that the Pro, Tour, Game and Play were comparative to say Formula 1 or F1, then goes down to F2, F3 respectively as we go down the price points. But in this Arcsaber series, Yonex has done something impressive with this, and I would put all three rackets within this series in the same F1 category, but split them into different teams within Formula 1. So the best team last year in Formula 1 was Mercedes, so they'll be the Pro model, but the Tour in this instance will probably represent say Ferrari or McLaren, not immediately behind Mercedes, but there's some gap there. The Play certainly has some catching up to do, so will probably be like a Williams or even a Haas. Still Formula 1, but not at the front. Let me quickly tell you 10 things you need to know about the new Arcsaber 11 rackets. So you all know I love my Arcsaber 10s, and I was super excited at this launch and was even more excited when Yonex UK was able to send me some demo samples which were all 4U G5s to test out. So thank you Yonex. As before, Yonex is now splitting their rackets into multiple price ranges similar to what they've done with the current top-end Astrox rackets. Although many of the Astrox models have 4 price ranges, the Pro, Tour, Game and Play. These Arcsaber 11s however have only been split into 3 models, with the top of the line Pro models, then onto the Tour before immediately ending with the Play model, missing out the Game. Why? I'm not sure, but I'm also aware that not all regions will be bringing all 3 models. For example, I'm aware that the UK will only be having the Pro and the Play models, missing out on the Tour in this instance. In terms of looks, they're all painted similarly on the outside and they're all looking super classy with the matte finish, but the red is certainly fire. I have to admit, when I first saw some leaked photos, I wasn't exactly drawn to the design scheme. However, after having the racket at hand, it's certainly better than what I've seen online, so that's good. Now I hope YouTube's compression hasn't destroyed this, but the Pro model's red is just a touch darker than the Tour and the Play. The Pro's red is closer to maroon than super bright red in this instance. Additionally, I've also noticed on the shaft, the Arcsaber wording is the right way up on one side and is upside down on the other, whereas the model wording is consistent on both sides. Funny. Other visual items which you'll recognise is the Tour and Play wording on the frame of the rackets, whereas the Pro has no wording this time round. I really do like the silver colour for the wording decals, looks good. If we then move on to the actual racket frame itself, we will then find the Arcsaber 11 Pro and Tour adopting a new frame design where 4 sections were recessed onto the frame. All areas except the 2 to 4 and 8 to 10 o'clock regions are recessed, which is different to the Play, whereas it only had its top half recessed in this instance, but visually it is more shallow than usual. For a quick comparison, I measured the Arcsaber 10's recess depth at 1.1mm, the Astrox 88D Pro at around 0.7 to 0.8mm, the Arcsaber 11 Pro at 0.7mm, and finally the Arcsaber 11 Play at 0.5mm. So we're not talking a lot here, but it's visually noticeable compared to the usual depth in the recess section. All 3 models have the same head frame dimensions, which is the same as the Arcsaber 10, but is certainly slightly wider and longer than most top-end Astroxes and Nanoflares. For example, the Nanoflare 800 and 800 LT are both 1cm slimmer in the frame width and half a centimeter shorter in the frame height. No wonder those rackets are rapid. We now also have the control assist bumper on top of the racket head for all models across the Arcsaber series, which is similar to the Astrox 99 models too. Speaking about grommets, I did notice that all the Arcsaber models did not have the 4 rows of slightly larger grommets around the 3 and 9 o'clock sections, which most of the top-end Astrox models did, such as the 88S, 88D and 99s. This resulted with the Arcsaber 11s going back to Yonex's traditional design of consistent spacing within the strings instead of the newer designs found in the Astroxes, which provided a larger sweet spot. Perhaps Yonex really wanted a consistent feeling throughout the strings for consistent control, which is what the Arcsabers are famous for. Oh yes, recommended string tensions were also down £1 across the board, with 4U models recommending up to £27 and £28 for the 3U, whereas the Astrox models have been going up to £28 and £29 respectively. I've also had to restring both the Tour and Play rackets as they come factory strings with not very good strings and pretty poor tensions. Listen to this here. Yonex, if you're watching this, please stop doing this, as it's such a shame to ruin the feel of these nice rackets. I'll use the same analogy I used previously. It's like buying a nice car but putting really poor budget tires on. The car isn't going to handle and feel well in this instance. So to the players who are getting the tour and play rackets, please restring your rackets with your preferred strings and usual tensions of choice. It will completely transform how the racket feels and play. This much I guarantee. In terms of stringing, all three rackets had no issues at all whatsoever, but I do want to note that fresh grommets on the Arcsaber 11 Pro, especially with the control assist bumper, was gripping the mains of the Aerobite string so hard, which makes stringing slightly frustrating, but that's a really good sign, to be honest, of how much string grip we'll see from these rackets. If you're someone who loves grippy string like the Aerobite like me, treat your string as well. The stock grips for both the Pro and the Tour were very good and grippy. They even had some squishiness to it. Nice. Unfortunately for the play, it wasn't that great. It was just a tad thinner than the other two and was pretty slippery as well. You want to use an overgrip for the play. For playing performance and feel, let's get this straight. Arcsabers are unique in a way where they're what I call middle of the road. They're easy to use rackets where they're not as demanding as crazy stiff or head heavy power rackets, or on the other spectrum, too light or hollow. They're really good rackets where they just cover everything you ever want on a racket. If you want power, there's power. If you want speed, they're pretty quick. You want control? Just give me your money. So immediately I was able to notice the Arcsaber 11 Pro has a softer hitting feeling compared to the Astrox 88D Pros. Get subscribed for a full comparison across the top end Arcsabers, which is dropping soon. The hitting timing for the Arcsaber 11 Pro isn't also as crisp as the 88D Pro. The sweet spot of the Arcsaber 11 Pro is normal size. It doesn't feel as large as what you can feel with the Astrox 88S Pro or the 99 Pro, but it's pretty consistent, which constantly reminds me of my Arcsaber 10s. Lifts and net shots felt good as well, and whilst we're still on the Pro model, let's talk about the hold time. Hold time is the amount of contact time which the shuttle has with the string, and Yonex has been consistently trying to innovate within this area with the recent rackets, and this one certainly is the best one yet in terms of hold time. Back when I was testing the Astrox 99 Pro, I was extremely impressed with the hold time of that racket, which I actually mentioned in my review here. With that said, the Arcsaber 11 Pro had even more hold time compared to the 99 Pro. You can certainly feel it's a step up from the 99 Pro in this regard. If you love the 99 Pro's hold time and want more or prefer less headweight, this one's for you. Granted, this thing has less headweight compared to the 99 Pro, but you can certainly feel it doesn't lack punch. I also want to add that I had some timing issues initially on my punch clears for some reason, but everything else was fine. It might just be that the bigger head with a standard sweet spot, hence I'm mistiming my shots. Or it just means that I've been spoilt by more forgiving rackets. If we then move on to the Tour model, and wow, this is the closest Tour model that I've ever tested compared to the Pros. Now bearing in mind that the Tour was supposed to be as close as possible to the Pro across all models, but so far each one felt very different to the Pro counterparts. For example, the Astrox 100, the 88S series, the 88Ds, and even the 99s. This, however, felt almost identical. It was scary how good and how similar it was in terms of the feel and performance of the Arcsaber 11 Tour compared to the Pro sibling. I would actually say that the Tour felt a touch stiffer compared to the Pro, perhaps due to its Rexus shaft, but it is just a touch more demanding as well. I had to re-verify this feeling across multiple sessions and they were consistent, so I can confirm that the Tour feels very close to the Pro with a steeper getting used to curve. We now look at the play, which is the most affordable of the bunch. Considering the play's price point, I'm very impressed with its performance. This again echoes my expectations with the Tour versus Pro situation, and this play performs and feels very similarly to the Pro too. This is the fifth model that Yonex has released with multiple price points, and for the first time, all three played and performed very similarly to each other. Previously, I've said some models felt as if they weren't from the same category, as they felt very different, but these three felt very close to each other, which makes it more impressive this time round. Again, the play uses more affordable materials and a more basic frame design, but someone's done something right here to make it play so well. I will again say the play feels stiffer compared to the Pro and is certainly the slowest out of the three, but certainly not by much, and for its price point, this is an impressive racket. The Arcsaber certainly isn't designed to be the most powerful or the fastest rackets out there, but they've got an unusual niche of being able to do everything above average, say an 8 out of 10, and these guys certainly do deliver. If it's hold time we're looking for, then these are certainly 11 out of 10, or at least the Pro model certainly is. If you're already an Arcsaber user, you'll probably love this updated model. Again, if you're someone who loves the 99 Pro but wanted a lighter head, this is for you. And if you're someone who prefers outright power or speed, you might have to manage your expectations a little. However, in terms of value for money, I cannot recommend the Arcsaber 11 Play enough. It's just impressive. I will see you in the next one.